There's something powerful about a person who walks into a room and changes the atmosphere, not with noise, not with pride, but with peace. Something about them is different. You can't always put it into words. It's not just the way they smile or the calm in their voice. It's the weight they don't carry that makes the difference. You see, most people walk through life bent over from the invisible weight of pain, regret, guilt, unforgiveness, and fear. They wear their burdens like invisible chains dragging them through every season, and those burdens, those wounds, they don't just weigh down the soul, they show up in the body. You can see it in their eyes. You can see it in their face. You can see it in the way they walk through life. Tired, bitter, burned out, but you've learned the art of letting go. You don't carry what was never meant to be yours. You've learned to lay it down. The burdens of yesterday don't sit on your shoulders today, and because of that, something about you radiates light, not artificial light, not filtered, polished light, but real light, a light that comes from deep within, a light that the world didn't give you, and the world can't take away. There's a reason your face glows differently when your soul is free. There's a reason your eyes shine when you've let go of bitterness. Bitterness ages a person. Anger hardens the spirit. Unforgiveness adds years to your countenance. Carrying what doesn't serve you breaks you from the inside out. And yet, so many people hold on to pain like it's part of their identity. They rehearse it, relive it, retell it, and wonder why the weight never leaves. But you, my friend, made a decision. You made a decision to choose peace over pain. You made a decision to stop fighting battles that weren't yours. You made a decision to stop carrying offenses like armor and start moving forward in love, and that decision is what sets you apart. The glow that surrounds you is not just physical, it's spiritual. It's the result of years of surrender. It's the harvest of healing. You've cried tears no one saw. You've fought battles in silence. You've wrestled with grief in the quiet hours of the night. But instead of letting that grief settle into your bones, you lifted it up. You released it to something greater than yourself, and now, where others carry bitterness, you carry light. Let me tell you something real. The most youthful people in this world are not always the youngest in age. Some of the youngest souls I've ever encountered had wrinkles on their faces, but fire in their hearts. And some of the oldest, most tired faces belonged to people who were still in their 20s, but life had buried them in burdens they never let go of. Looking young isn't just about what you put on your skin. It's about what you refuse to put on your soul, your decision to forgive. That lightens you, your choice to trust again. That lifts you, your ability to see beauty in broken places. That makes you shine. You walk differently because you're not hunched over from carrying shame. You speak differently because your words aren't filtered through resentment. You live differently because your heart is no longer chained to what hurt you. And the result is a glow that no cream or serum can replicate. People may ask you, what's your secret? What do you use? And you can smile, because they wouldn't believe the truth if you told them. You'd have to say, I use grace, I use forgiveness, I use faith, I use surrender, I let go so I can glow. It's not that you haven't been through hard times. It's not that life hasn't tried to crush you, but you learned to cast your cares. You learned that your spirit was never meant to carry the full weight of this world. You learned that there is a peace that passes all understanding, and when you live in that peace, it shows up on your face. So now, wherever you go, you shine. People don't know your full story, but they feel your presence. They don't know what you've overcome, but they sense your strength. That's because there's a kind of joy this world can't give, and it surely can't take away. It's not found in a paycheck, a title, a vacation, or a relationship. It's not wrapped up in how many followers you have or how many compliments you get. This joy, this deep, soul-quaking joy, comes from a higher source. It's divine, it's unshakable, and when you've tasted it, nothing else satisfies. The world will try to sell you happiness. It comes with terms and conditions. You'll be happy if you buy this. You'll feel good when you achieve that. You'll smile when everything finally falls into place. But that kind of happiness is fragile, it's temporary, it cracks under pressure, because as soon as the thing you were depending on disappears, the joy goes with it. As soon as the people change, the mood shifts. As soon as circumstances turn, the light dims, but not with you, not anymore, because your joy doesn't depend on what's happening around you. It's anchored in something deeper. It flows from a well that never runs dry. When you carry joy from a higher source, you don't need perfect conditions to praise. You don't wait for the storm to pass before you lift your voice. You've learned to dance in the rain, to sing in the dark, to smile through tears. Not because you're in denial, but because you know the one who holds it all. That's the difference. That's what sets you apart. People wonder how you keep going. They see the challenges you face and expect you to break, but instead they see a glow. They hear laughter when there should be silence. They see peace when there should be panic. And they ask, how do you do it? The truth is, it's not you doing it. It's the source. The overflow of divine joy bubbles up from within you and touches everything around you. It gives you strength when you're weak, hope when you're weary, and purpose when you feel forgotten. This joy isn't blind to pain. It doesn't ignore reality, but it speaks louder than fear. It stands taller than doubt. It holds you steady when the waves crash, because it's built on a foundation that won't crumble. That's why you smile even when things don't go your way. That's why you carry light in heavy places. That's why you still have faith when others have given up. Your joy comes from above, not from below. Not from what you see, but from what you believe. And that kind of joy is radiant. It shows on your face. It pours out of your presence. It lifts the room when you walk in, because it's alive in you. You don't need to fake it. You don't need to impress anyone. You don't need a stage or a spotlight. The joy you carry is authentic, and it's magnetic. People feel it even when they don't understand it. They may think it's confidence, or maybe they think it's charisma, but what they're really seeing is the fruit of a life rooted in the Spirit. You've learned not to chase what fades. You've learned not to let the world define your worth. You've learned to trust in something higher, and because of that, you are full even when you're waiting, even when you're hurting, even when you're in the middle of the unknown. That joy walks with you. That joy lifts your head. That joy reminds you that this life is more than bills, deadlines, or broken dreams. It reminds you that you are held, that you are seen, that your story is not over. There's a glow that comes from resting in that truth. And it shows. People say, you look so happy, so alive, so youthful. They don't realize what they're witnessing is spiritual. It's not just emotion. It's revelation. It's the reflection of a heart that knows it is loved. Completely, unconditionally, eternally. You've stopped waiting for the perfect moment to feel alive. You've learned to find joy in the moment because the one who gave it to you is always with you. Whether you're on the mountain or in the valley, whether it's a season of gain or a season of loss, your joy remains. That's your power, that's your gift, and that's what keeps you glowing when others grow weary, because your joy comes from a higher source, and it never runs dry. Every day you wake up is not just another date on the calendar. It's another chance for your spirit to be renewed. While others are running on empty, trying to survive off yesterday's energy, yesterday's blessings, yesterday's strength, you've tapped into something deeper. You know that real strength doesn't come from routine. It doesn't come from caffeine or chaos or hustle. It comes from a divine renewal, fresh and available every single day. There is a reason you keep going when others fall behind. There is a reason your spirit doesn't grow cold, even in the middle of hard seasons. It's not because you've never been through pain. It's not because life has always been kind to you. No, it's because you've learned how to be still and receive. You've learned the sacred rhythm of renewal. You've learned to show up empty and leave full. You've learned that you don't have to carry yesterday's weight into today because there's new strength waiting for you every morning. Some people live on memories of when they used to be strong, when they used to be joyful, when they used to have peace, but not you, because you understand that the Spirit doesn't run out, it doesn't dry up, it doesn't get stale. Every single morning there's a fresh wind ready to fill your lungs, a fresh wave of grace ready to wash over your soul, a fresh fire ready to ignite your purpose again. That's why you haven't quit. That's why you haven't collapsed under pressure. That's why, even when everything around you seemed to fall apart, something inside of you stood tall. You were being renewed. The outside may have been weary, but the inside was coming alive. The world saw your struggle, but they didn't see your source. They didn't see the moments when you cried out, when you let go, when you surrendered it all just so your spirit could rise again. They didn't see the tears behind the triumph, the battle behind the breakthrough, but God saw it, and He met you there every time. When you live a life of renewal, people notice. They see something different in your walk, in your tone, in your presence. You don't carry yesterday's stress into today's purpose. You don't let old battles define your new season. That's what renewal does. It cleans the slate. It restores your vision. It gives you the clarity to see what others miss. When you're renewed daily, your perspective changes. You stop reacting and you start responding with wisdom. You stop rushing and you start walking in divine timing. You're no longer driven by desperation. You're led by peace. That's the glow they see on your face. That's the energy they can't explain. That's the fire that burns in your eyes when you talk about what's next. It's not hype. It's not emotion. It's spiritual stamina. It's that quiet confidence that comes from knowing you're plugged into the source that never fails, while others are trying to refill from empty places, people, possessions, popularity. You've learned to go straight to the fountain of life. And what's amazing is that this renewal doesn't come from striving. It doesn't come from performance. It comes from surrender. You don't have to be perfect to be renewed. You just have to be open. You just have to be willing to let go of what no longer serves your spirit. You have to make space, space for grace, space for truth, space for presence. You've walked through storms that should have left you broken, but every day you showed up again, and every day heaven breathed on you. You've climbed mountains that should have drained you, but instead they refined you, and when people asked, "How are you still standing?" you didn't even have the words, because the answer wasn't in your strength, it was in your source. You don't glow because life has been easy. You glow because you've been renewed. You don't radiate joy because everything is perfect. You radiate it because you've learned to live connected, plugged in, aligned with something higher than circumstance. That's why your peace confuses people. That's why your calm is contagious. That's why you walk into chaos and carry stillness with you, because you've been filled, you've been covered, you've been refreshed, not once, but daily. And every time the world tries to wear you down, every time life tries to take from you, every time your flesh gets tired or your mind grows weary, you return to the well, and there it is again, strength for today, peace for right now, fire for the journey ahead. Your spirit is renewed daily, and that's why you shine. There comes a point in your life when you realize that not everything you carry is meant to go with you. Not every friendship, not every opinion, not every habit, not every memory, not every version of yourself deserves a seat at your future table. And when you finally see that truth, when you finally get tired of dragging dead weight through your divine assignment, you make a holy decision to let go of what no longer serves your soul. Letting go is not weakness. It's not giving up. It's wisdom. It's courage. It's choosing healing over history. It's choosing peace over performance. It's deciding that your soul deserves more than anxiety disguised as loyalty. Because holding on to what drains you will never allow you to rise into what fulfills you. And the truth is, You were not called to live stuck. You were called to grow, to evolve, to walk in freedom, and freedom costs something. Sometimes it costs comfort. Sometimes it costs approval. Sometimes it costs everything you thought you needed. There are things you had to release, not because they were all bad, but because they were not aligned with who you are becoming. There are relationships you had to walk away from, not out of anger, but out of reverence for your own spirit. You began to realize that anything that confuses your peace, clouds your purpose, or crushes your joy is too expensive to keep. You are no longer negotiating with your destiny. You are no longer trying to convince what was meant to expire to stay a little longer. There is a sacred power in letting go. It's the moment when you stop apologizing for choosing yourself, when you stop shrinking to fit into spaces that no longer reflect your worth, when you stop watering dead things hoping they'll bloom again. You learned that what's meant for your soul will never manipulate you into staying. It will never guilt you into being less than who you are. It will never demand that you betray your intuition just to belong. You've let go of resentment, not because it didn't hurt, but because you realized forgiveness is for you. You realized bitterness was eating away at your light, and you decided you wanted to shine more than you wanted to be right. You've let go of shame, because shame is a liar, and it had you thinking you were unworthy when the whole time you were already redeemed. You've let go of comparison, because your lane is sacred, your story is unique. And trying to walk like someone else was only slowing down your divine stride. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means blessing the lesson and releasing the weight. You carried things for too long, old expectations, false identities, broken dreams, past regret. But not anymore. Now you walk lighter, now you speak clearer, now you smile freer, because you know your soul is finally getting what it needs: space, stillness, truth, alignment. There is a glow that comes from releasing what's been dimming your light. A power that rises when you no longer give access to people who only knew a past version of you. You've changed, you've healed, you've awakened, and now you protect your energy like the sacred treasure it is. You don't answer every call, you don't attend every drama, you don't engage in every battle. You choose peace, not because you're passive, but because you're powerful. You don't carry everything anymore. You only carry what helps you grow, what feeds your spirit, what makes you better. The people who see you now may wonder how you look younger, how you seem lighter, how your energy feels different. They don't know what you had to release to become this version of yourself. They don't know the nights you cried while unclenching your grip. They don't know the fear that came with leaving the familiar, but you did it anyway, and now you walk in a freedom that can't be faked. You've learned that peace is the loudest confirmation. If it costs you your peace, it's too expensive. If it drains your joy, it's too heavy. If it distracts your mind, it's not aligned. And when your soul starts to whisper, "Let it go," you listen now. Because now you trust your spirit more than you trust your history. Now you know your worth. Now you know that elevation requires separation. And you're not afraid to let go so you can grow. And because of that choice, your soul breathes. Your spirit rises, and your light shines like never before. There's a shift that happens in your life when you stop living to please people and start living to fulfill purpose. When you stop moving out of fear, out of guilt, out of expectations placed on you by others, and instead start moving with clarity, with conviction, with courage, that shift is called freedom. That shift is called alignment. That shift is called walking in purpose, not pressure. Pressure will crush you if you let it. It will keep you up at night chasing approval. It will have you wearing masks just to survive the moment. It will have you saying yes when your soul is screaming no. Pressure wants you to perform, to constantly prove yourself, to outdo, to keep up, to do more, be more, say more, all while losing touch with who you really are. But purpose, oh, purpose is different. Purpose isn't loud. Purpose isn't anxious. Purpose doesn't beg for validation. Purpose whispers with peace and walks with power. When you walk in pressure, your spirit feels heavy. You're tired even when you're not doing much. You're drained even when the world thinks you're winning. But when you walk in purpose, even your weariness feels sacred. You might be busy, but you're not burnt out. You might have a lot on your plate, but none of it feels like it's stealing your soul, because it's not about how much you're doing. It's about what you're doing and why. You're no longer led by fear. You're no longer held hostage by opinions. You've learned to quiet the noise of comparison. You've stopped measuring your worth by someone else's highlight reel. You've unplugged from the hustle and tapped into the holy. Because you understand, purpose isn't about perfection, it's about presence. It's about being fully here, fully alive, doing what you're created to do with what you have in your hands. You walk different now. Not because life got easier, but because your spirit got clearer. You wake up knowing who you are. You don't chase rooms you don't belong in. You don't run yourself ragged trying to earn love that should be freely given. You don't carry burdens that were never assigned to you. You've learned to ask, is this mine to carry? And if it's not, if it doesn't align, if it doesn't bring peace, if it doesn't serve the calling over your life, you let it go. Walking in purpose means you know the difference between what's urgent and what's important. You're not jumping every time the world claps. You're not running every time someone calls your name. You've learned the discipline of stillness. You've learned the wisdom of saying no, and that no is not rejection. It's redirection. It's making space for what really matters. It's making room for the divine to move. Purpose doesn't need you to be everything to everyone. It just needs you to be true. It needs you to show up where you're called, to speak when you're led, to rest when it's time, and to trust that what's meant for you won't pass you by, not when you're walking in alignment, not when you're grounded in who you are. The pressure used to weigh you down, but now purpose lifts you up. It pulls you forward. It gives your steps meaning. It gives your journey grace. The pressure used to make you question yourself. But now purpose reminds you that your life is not random, that your pain wasn't pointless, that your gifts weren't an accident, and every detour, every delay, every disappointment, they all led you to now. To this sacred, powerful now, and now you walk differently. You glow differently because peace follows purpose. Joy follows purpose. Fulfillment follows purpose. You don't need to fight for a spotlight when you're already lit from within. You don't need to strive for approval when you know you've already been chosen. You don't need to rush when you know that what's divine is always on time. Let the world chase the pressure. Let them run in circles if they want to. But as for you, you've found something better, something deeper, something eternal. You've found your lane. You've found your voice. You've found your why. And you walk in it, boldly, beautifully, purposefully. Because you walk in purpose, not pressure, and that's why your steps are steady. That's why your heart is whole. That's why your life is beginning to bloom in ways you never imagined. You are not random. You are not an accident. You are not just a product of chance or a mistake in the making. You are a divine design handcrafted by the Creator of the heavens and the earth. And every breath you take, every step you walk, every spark of light that radiates from your soul is evidence. You reflect the one who created you. There is something sacred about your existence. There's something set apart about your presence. You carry a light the world didn't give you, and that's exactly why the world can't dim it. It wasn't given by titles or trends, by opinions or achievements. It was breathed into you by the one who saw you before anyone else ever knew your name. That light, that image is holy, it's eternal, it's a mirror of the divine. When you speak with kindness, when you lead with compassion, when you love without condition, that's not just your personality. That's your Creator's character showing through you. When you forgive, when you heal, when you rise again after life has knocked you down, That is the fingerprint of God stamped on your spirit. You were made to reflect greatness. You were made to reflect love. You were made to reflect strength, creativity, wisdom, and truth, not because you earned it, but because it's in your spiritual DNA. You don't have to strive to become what you already are. You don't have to beg for the light that already lives in you. The world may try to label you, box you in, reduce you to what you've done or what you've been through, but that's not your truth. That's not your origin. You didn't come from pain. You passed through it. You didn't come from shame. You've been redeemed from it. You didn't come from fear. You were born of love, born of purpose, born of a higher plan. The mirror the world gives you will lie to you. It will tell you that you're not enough unless you look a certain way, live a certain lifestyle, achieve a certain level. But the mirror of God's presence shows you who you really are. It shows you the strength in your softness. It shows you the power in your gentleness. It shows you the royalty in your humility, because real reflection isn't about image, it's about essence. And when your soul begins to align with the truth of who made you, everything changes. You begin to walk taller, not out of arrogance, but out of awareness. You begin to speak with more clarity, not to impress, but because truth flows naturally from a heart aligned with heaven. You begin to radiate peace, not because life is easy, but because you know who holds your life. The Creator placed eternity inside of you. That's why nothing temporary ever fully satisfies. That's why you can't fake joy or force peace, because your soul knows what it was made for. Your soul remembers who made it. You were never called to blend in. You were never called to dim your light to make others comfortable. You were never called to reflect culture more than you reflect the Creator. You carry the image of something eternal, something holy, something so magnificent that even on your worst days, it still shines through the cracks. Even in your weakness, His strength is visible. Even in your brokenness, His grace is undeniable. That's the beauty of divine reflection. It doesn't require perfection, only presence, and you carry that presence with you wherever you go. When you walk into a room, you bring something heaven has touched. When you speak life over someone, you become a mirror of mercy. When you choose grace over gossip, forgiveness over fury, faith over fear, you shine, you illuminate, you reflect. You are the evidence of intentionality. You are the living proof that love creates beauty out of dust. You are the walking reminder that God still breathes, still speaks, still shows up through ordinary people who have said yes to something greater. You don't have to chase identity when you've already been claimed. You don't have to prove worth when you've already been called, and you surely don't have to hustle for light when you are the light. Not because of your name, but because of His. Not because of your works, but because of His Spirit in you. So let the world see. Let them feel the glow, the peace, the power. Let them encounter the reflection of something divine every time you smile, every time you serve, every time you simply show up as your true self. You are a mirror, a vessel, a radiant echo of your Creator's glory. You reflect the one who created you, and that truth is your strength, your beauty, your identity, and your forever light. So as you go forward from this moment, walk boldly in that truth. Let your life be the canvas where heaven paints its beauty. Let your words echo love. Let your presence shift the atmosphere. You are not here by accident. You were sent, chosen, and created with purpose. And every time you rise, every time you shine, every time you choose to reflect the one who formed you, you remind the world that light still lives here. Keep glowing, keep rising, keep reflecting, because when they see you, may they see the one who made you, and may your life be the evidence that His light still shines through us all.